Hello everyone, welcome to Science Fiction 365. I hope you all are in great health. Today we are going to start chapter 2 of class 9th. Name of the chapter is Solving a Biological Problem. In this chapter we are going to study how biologists solve a biological problem by different techniques or by different methods. Now, before starting this chapter, you must know that who are biologists. Basically, a biologist is a person or biologist is a scientist who conduct research in biology. They do research on every living organism present on planet Earth. Whether the organism is unicellular or multicellular, they do research by different methods or by different techniques. Before starting, we need to make it clear that what is science. Basically, science is the systematic study of nature and how it affects us as well as our environment. Now, scientific method is a series of steps followed by different scientists and investigators to answer a specific question about the natural world. Basically, scientific method is used to solve problems of chemists, biologists, and physicists. What is biological method? Biological method is a system of advancing knowledge by formulating a question, then data is collected by some observations and experiment, then an intelligent guess is made about living organisms. So this whole process undergoes or is called as biological method. Now here are some steps of biological method that are studied by biologists whenever they face any biological problem. You can also see this chart. Firstly, observation is made and some previous knowledge is gathered. Then an intelligent guess is made, which is called as hypothesis. Then this hypothesis undergoes some experiment. Then data is made which will support hypothesis, or if the data support hypothesis, it will be called as theory. If data doesn't support hypothesis, then again new hypothesis will be made and the process will be repeated again. Now let's talk about each steps in detail. The first step is biological problem. Basically, biological problem is a set of questions to be solved about the natural world. Now these problems can be environmental, ecological, or health related. Whatever the problem is, it is always solved by problem solving method by biologist or chemist or physicist. The most common example is of malaria, which we are going to discuss in this problem solving method. Malaria was caused by female Anopheles mosquitoes. Previously, cause of malaria was unknown, so it was said that malaria is caused by bad air. Latin word mal means bad and air means air. So this problem is solved when a scientist identifies the reason of malaria. When biologists undergoes any problem, the first step is to identify the reason, which is followed by question, and this is done through observations. Observation is a statement of knowledge gained through qualitative or quantitative. Observations are of two types. Qualitative observation refers to 5 senses, which are sense of sight, hearing, taste, touch, and smell. In this, no scientific tools are used. In quantitative observation, scientific tools are used, and these observations are accurate, and these observations are also recorded. Meanwhile, in qualitative observation, no observations are recorded and these observations are less accurate. For example, in case of malaria, patient is observed by qualitative observation. Doctor will touch his head by checking either he is having temperature, then how much temperature does patient have. Doctor will check through thermometer. So both kind of observations are made by doctors. After all these observations, hypothesis is made. Let's study an example. In 1880, a French physician, Levron, studied the blood sample of patient under microscope and used both observation, qualitative observation as well as quantitative observation. He observed some tiny creatures in blood and named them as Plasmodium. So he said Plasmodium is present in the blood of malarial patient. Next step is hypothesis, which is based on observations. An hypothesis is an intelligent guess made by scientists, and it is in the form of statement. It is important to know that hypothesis must be testable. This means that we have to test our hypothesis through experiment. You can test your hypothesis through experiment, that it is either verified or rejected. For example, in malaria case, intelligent guesses were made by scientists that Plasmodium is the cause of malaria. But it was only a guess which can be presented as hypothesis. So this statement will be filtered out by reasoning. Next process is reasoning. Reasoning is just like asking questions. For example, you can ask from your friend, will you play cricket today with me or not? So this is a reasoning question. Now let's start by scientific method. In this reasoning steps, biologists collect information about the problem and formulate hypotheses by using a reasoning process. Now reasoning can be either inductive reasoning or deductive reasoning. Basically, you can say that reasonings are simply asking questions. Now there are two types of reasoning. Let's start from the first one, which is inductive reasoning. In inductive reasoning, we move from specific to general idea. For example, shark is a fish, so all fishes have scales, so shark must also have scales. And in deductive reasonings, the idea moves from general to specific. For example, all birds have wings, so they fly. And bat can also fly, so it is also a bird. So the idea moves from general to specific idea. And in deductive reasoning, if and then statements are mostly used. Deductive reasonings are tested and verified by experiments. If Plasmodium is the cause of malaria, then all malaria patients should have Plasmodium in their blood. So these are some reasoning which were made by scientists. Next process will be experiment, which we are going to study in our next video. Experiments, result, conclusion, theory, law, and principle of biological method we will study in new video.